This is terrible for Donald Trump's campaign. A big story lately has been that just open, y'all know I'm mindful of when I use these terms, out and out, public, racist, and bigot of every kind, we'll just say for short, Laura Lumer, who's a big supporter of Trump's. Trump's been a supporter of hers. She's been traveling with Trump lately. Some speculating she helped with debate prep. We saw how that went. Trump was asked about her at a speech that he's delivering in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. We'll look at the other parts from the speech in this segment and then see Fox News having to cut away because the first clips here came later, and so it's not Fox News. They cut away as he was about to make a devastating mistake for his campaign, which is now not denouncing her, which is going to spiral off. I'm predicting now a bunch of stories about who she is as he shows her support for her. And she said some of the worst things recently, talking about Curry being in the White House and just open racist remarks about Vice President Kamala Harris. So with that being said, here's Trump being asked about her.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Lumer.
Let me put it this way, if you didn't see this already. Marjorie Taylor Greene denounced Laura Lumer. That's how bad she is.
Go ahead.
Your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Lumer.
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants. She's a free spirit. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters, but I don't know what exactly you're referring to. That's okay.
Uncomfortable, but not making clear he disagrees with her conspiracy theories, bigotry. And in a different segment today, I'll give you examples of what I'm talking about. This is sort of breaking news, so I don't have them prepared, but we will talk about that later on. You'll remember I debated with her, and it was crazy some time ago. Here's more.
Yeah, please. I just don't know. Laura's a supporter. I don't know. She is a strong person. She's got strong opinions, and I don't know what she said, but that's not up to me. She's a supporter. Please.
Traveling with you on your plane.
Okay, a lot of people do. It's a very big plane.
With you. She made racist remarks about your opponent. She also espoused conspiracy theories about 9/11. Do you disavow those remarks?
Well, I have to see what the remarks are. You're telling me for the first time we're here discussing the destruction of San Francisco and California by a person that's running for president. So I don't even know what you're talking about. I do know that she may have said something based on what you're telling me, but I don't know what she said. But I'll go take a look and I'll put out a statement later on, but I really don't know.
I bet we're moments away from him having to denounce her. That's how bad she is that even Trump may have to. And the things she's been saying lately, again, I feel uncomfortable even repeating them back. Something feels off about giving a platform to that sort of hatred. But the stuff she said about Harris, the stuff that got her literally banned from using Uber and Lyft and stuff to that effect, and banned off a bunch of social media platforms, just sick and depraved stuff. And he's traveling with her and very, very friendly with her. But I'm sure that's about to come to an end for the sake of his campaign. You have more?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
What value do you feel that Laura Lumer brings to you? And has nobody told you about the conspiracy theories that she is promoting?
No, I don't know that much about it. No, I don't. I know she's a big fan of the campaign, but I really don't know. I would say that, she brings a spirit to us that a lot of people have. We have very spirited people. And in all fairness to her, she hates seeing what's happened to the country, I guess. I mean, she hates seeing what's happened to the country. So
this is about to be a campaign disaster. Oh, gosh. I can feel. Get ready. Tonight's nightly news is going to be all about who Laura Lumer is and Trump associating with her. We're going to have a segment about that, as I already said. And then I'd already prepped, so we'll jump into that now. The other parts from the speech, they weren't better, and they led to Fox News having to cut away.
I attribute to ICE and Border Patrol. They're incredible people. Not only is Comrade Howard, I mean, if you take a look at this.
Comrade Howard, it sounded like he said. One more time.
I attribute to ICE and Border Patrol. They're incredible people. Not only is Comrade Howard, I mean, if you take a look at this.
He doesn't know how to deal with a verbal mishap. Normal people go, Comrade, well, normal people don't call her Comrade Howard or Comrade at all, for starters. But even if you were, you would say Comrade Howard, I mean, Harris. But instead he always has to do that. If you look at, if you see because you distracted me. So now that we're back on course, Comrade Kamala Harris. Using that term to denote communism, even though Vice President Harris is not a communist, he's still obsessed with David Muir, who hosted or moderated the ABC debate. And instead of just accepting that he had a disastrous performance, and as Van Jones put it, Harris kept baiting him and then spanking him. Again, Jones's word, not mine. He can't acknowledge that, so instead, he obsesses over the moderators.
From people that are not smart, from a guy who has good hair, but not as good as it was 5 years ago, to be honest.
You know, Donald, I think there's one thing you shouldn't criticize about others, and it's their hair. He also said this.
A president has a duty to keep you safe. Kamala will turn America into a poor, violent, third world refugee camp. It already sort of is.
By the way, we're seeing this with the Haitian rhetoric. We're seeing it with broader rhetoric about immigration. It used to be that Republicans and Democrats could agree that lawful immigration is one of the things that makes our country great. It's part of why we've become the country that we are, leading in so many categories. But that we should not be for unlawful immigration, and that's why we should have border security polls, etc. But now the demonization of immigration has expanded. Always they would become super dehumanizing in the rhetoric about unlawful immigration, which is not acceptable even if we are talking about border security. But now that's expanding just to all immigration. And then he uses this hating America rhetoric constantly to make people believe something about the America that exists that isn't true. It's just not true, and it's disgusting the way that he articulates it. Then there's this.
I love this place. Look at this. I own this. No partners, no mortgage, no nothing. I own it. And I'm talking so badly about the state. It hurts me to do it. I would never do this except for the fact that I'm running for president and I want to save the country. So I'd rather sacrifice this than lie or not speak.
It is a funny aesthetic to say California has been run into the ground by Vice President Kamala Harris. And it's unlivable, quote unquote, third world country, and it's all terrible. And then to deliver these remarks as you're also talking about how beautiful your golf course is in California, how great of a place it is, it doesn't match the two. I get that you can have a beautiful site in a non-beautiful place, which is the point he's trying to make, but the two aesthetics don't really match one another, which is a funny note on this. Then you have him saying,
and her VP choice, I think, will go down as a catastrophic choice. Now, maybe I'll be wrong. I'll let you know on November 6th. But I can't believe that guy is an asset. They had other people that would have been.
You know, there's a lot of projection in this speech. In the next clip, you're going to hear him saying that Vice President Harris gets up and just lies. Obviously, Trump is notoriously one of the most dishonest political figures we've had. Even just objective statements, not to mention the misleading stuff, but just statements you can verifiably prove to be false. He has tens of thousands on record. It's crazy. And he's going to call her a liar. And then in that clip you already watched, saying her vice presidential running mate pick is a disaster, even though his popularity numbers are awesome, especially in our divided political moment. Whereas Tim Walz is good, but then in terms of JD Vance's favorability numbers are disastrous. One of the most unpopular. I think I saw the most unpopular in terms of that polling in the history of vice presidential running mates. So then he has to project that onto Tim Walz. If you haven't already and want to support us on our race to 1 million subscribers, you can do it by clicking that subscribe button below. Easy, free, simple. It makes all the difference. Back to the video. Then more projection here.
About everything. They lie about statements on the military. Nobody loves the military more than me. She got up today, she said things that were just lies. She's just made up. What's bad for Trump? Oh, this would be, say something bad about the military. Oh, he said bad about the military. Just like McDonald's, a total lie. It's the way they do it.
And we'll see him in this next clip saying that Vice President Harris never worked at McDonald's, even though she did. I mentioned to you in a different speech this lie came from, and because this keeps coming up, I should go get the specifics to cite for you the particulars of, but she was applying to a job in her capacity as a lawyer or something to that effect, and they got the application or resume that relates to, and she didn't put on that resume that she worked at McDonald's while she was in high school, which makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because that's not a relevant position to the one she was applying to, but they feel like that's a bombshell when it's absolutely not. And aside from that, in the previous clip before getting on to the McDonald's thing, when he talks about her lying about his record on the military, what he's talking about is the losers and suckers comment, the long record of Trump, sometimes in public, like with John McCain, disparaging service of our veterans. And he's disparaging a veteran, John Kelly, his longest serving chief of staff, former 4-star general, whenever he says the whole suckers and losers story is fake, because it was that general who overheard him saying these things. Then you have him saying this.
Then you have Kamala's claim that she worked at McDonald's. She never worked at McDonald's. It's a lie. They went in, they investigated it, and the fake news won't report that. They won't report it. The only one that reported it was Fox, but the fake news won't. She never worked at McDonald's. She said she stood over those French fries when they were being fried, and it was so tough work. She never worked there. She's a liar.
Gosh, she's having a tough time talking coherently. It's so tough work. That's not a sentence, Donald. And I already addressed that, but no one investigated it as he said. He did accurately articulate there, though, that Fox News is as credible as that reporting gets. So take that for what you will. He says this.
That Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Jesse, all of them, Greg Gutfeld, they all took that and they corrected it many times, but they keep coming with the same lies.
We're going to talk about probably in a different segment today, Hannity, who he referred to, going through Harris's quote-unquote list of lies at the debate, because they're trying to make the point that it had to be unfair if they fact-checked Trump on things but didn't fact-check Harris on her quote-unquote lies. I say quote-unquote because all the things he listed weren't actually lies. They were either things that Harris asserted that were factual statements, or they were a matter of opinion, not fact. Like, they said that whenever Vice President Harris claimed that January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War, that was a lie. Not understanding that I agree with that statement, but it's also a subjective statement, so you can't fact check that. Versus Trump making factually false statements like he won the 2020 election. This gets at what some MAGA folks don't even understand about the difference between fact and opinion. Not to mention the factual statements that they would try to fact check but fail because Harris was being factual. So yes, Trump's going to get fact checked more when he's making more verifiably false statements on the debate stage. Then here he says this.
But what they've done, Gavin Newsom and Kamala, I'd almost say Kamala more so. She destroyed San Francisco and she destroyed the state. When you look at...
Yeah, this whole aesthetic does not match his dystopian, the sky is falling sort of thing. A funny contrast. Sorry, we're going to get to when Fox News cuts away, but just want to give you a few more examples of this boring, sad speech.
By his hand, Kamala launched her tenure as DA with a San Francisco police group described as a, quote, fire sale for plea deals. They made plea deals. The only one they don't make a plea deal with is Trump. They go after their political opponent, especially when they haven't done anything wrong. You saw more charges were dropped yesterday in Atlanta, Georgia.
Do you see, Trump, how you're so misled or so dishonest with your own statements? They made plea deals, and the only one they won't make a plea deal with is Trump. That's supposed to bolster his idea that everything's being weaponized against him. You can make a plea deal. The first word, though, that you're saying, you would have to plead guilty probably. So are you ready to plead guilty to these things? Then you can get a deal. I'm sure they would make a deal if you'd plead guilty. And then this again.
And I thought the debate was great. I thought I did very well, but I was fighting three people. I was fighting the crazy left radical lunatics at ABC, I think considered the worst broadcaster out there.
That is a great little window into Trump's mind. He goes, I think they consider him, I consider him the worst broadcaster. Yeah, we know.
George Slobodanopoulos, that whole group, they're bad. And I lost a lot of respect for David Muir. He came at me with things, and we'll go over it in a second, but I was right about the crime stats going way up. The fact is
You weren't. And he's about to make the claim about FBI fraudulently releasing data to make it seem like crime's down when it's not. That's just not accurate. On today's bonus show, before I show you Fox cutting away, we're going to go through the different times that the moderators fact-checked Trump. Because Trump keeps saying it was unfair and it was unjust. And I'll go through and prove each of the fact checks. And then we'll look at Hannity. This might be in a segment publicly. I don't know yet, depending on how many we do today. And all the things he said Harris lied about. And we'll see if she lied about any of them to put this to rest, the claim they keep making that it was also unfair. Then Andrew Rupar says, wow, Fox News cuts away as a very low-energy Trump rants about toilets in San Francisco, and hosts immediately get busy sane washing.
That it cost $1.7 million to install a single public toilet in San Francisco. They built a toilet for $1.7 million. And it's not even nice. I saw
Former
pictures
President Donald Trump continues this week there in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, John. He started about 1:26. He's been going for about 34 minutes so far, 35 minutes or so and counting, and really laying out a message to voters about why he thinks Kamala Harris is a bad choice for president.
Yeah, really laying out that case just compellingly. Remember that a big criticism in the 2016 election of media outlets was that they would just give Trump this open platform and carry all of his speeches and not fact check them. A lot of mainstream outlets have stopped doing that. Fox News, you would expect to, because what we used to believe is that covering all of Trump would be to his benefit because you give him all this free media and then you never have the time to properly decipher for people what was fact and what was fiction. But now even Fox News, that used to cover more of him because it was to his advantage, they believed, even they are cutting him off way more quickly, as I've now covered a few times, whenever he does these speeches, because watching him all bummed out in some of these events, ranting about toilets or the dogs or anything, it's actually not to his political benefit. So they try to then come out of it and say something that sounds far more sane. Aaron Rupar's term being sane washing. And recently, I think it was also Rupar who posted such a great example of this sort of behavior, where the lower third chyron said Trump addresses the economy in speech, something to that effect. But if you actually listen to what he was saying during that, it was the wildest rantings and trying to make Trump seem to people like a normal candidate through your synthesizing of his speech and of his rants. It is their attempt to serve him, but hopefully won't work. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. Support the show by getting access to the bonus show by clicking that join button below, and you can click a link in the description of this video to donate to Harris's campaign.